Okay, hey everybody, this is Grace, and to jump into this, in Victorson County, okay, they have this group, Grace's group, and what they do is, I don't know the name for it. I was trying to look up, what would you call these people? Yeah, I would think something like digital investigators or digital detectives, but that doesn't cover it either. They actually use those for other reasons. But maybe digital investigators would be the one that was closest. They basically go in, say in Victorson County, they have Victorson County Online, and then they have the Outcast Online. Those are two social media platforms for just the county, basically just the county, and this group, her group, what they do is they monitor everything that goes, certain things. Like something comes up, some kind of the sheriff has some kind of case, and they need somebody to go on and look, monitor some chatter or something like this for the county. Okay, I'm not going to get this out because I'm seriously going, what do you call it? But he'll call these elders. Okay, they got in Victorson County. Basically, the elders run the show for the county. They do everything legally. Okay, but just a very wealthy county, very wealthy, going back all the way since it was settled in Texas here, and they had old money and lots of it, and it just kept going and going. They're really good, the elders are really good at investing and stuff for the county and all that, the different towns and all. They got a lot of money, and it's a whole big story that in itself. But when they need somebody to, when they need somebody, now they're broken up into interest, I call it. Some would call it their fields, of what or their genre, even. But like some of them would want to work to be like, whenever something happens and people need to know something, and to have the final answer to something, they go to the elders. Like something about in law enforcement, if they're having issues with this or that, they can't settle it themselves, they go to the those who are over it. And these are usually people who have worked in those fields and now they're retired. Some of them can be before retirement age, and as long as they're in their 60s and up. It used to be 70s and up, but in 2020 they switched to 60s and up, and people who are disabled, whatever field, and they would have the answers. People go to them, to find, okay, we can't resolve it here. We go to the elders, and that's what they do. And it could be those who used to be counselors, those who doctors. Those who are interested in restaurants, they own their own restaurant, they own their own grocery stores. Anything where there could become a problem and they need a final answer, and they go to them. They have their own little alternate universe, but it's, kind of thing going on. But it's an alternate county, okay, kind of thing going on. And they do have their own sense of justice, too. And like there are people who don't work for any of the law enforcement, like the Grace's group, but they work basically for the elders when it comes down to it. Some of them do have, were investigators, some of them weren't, and so many different differences. Like I said, kind of like an alternate universe kind of thing. I did not know that I was, I've been talking about this for quite a while, years, and I didn't know I was basically talking about something that's in string theory. How funny. Anyway. Okay, so Anyway, the reason I'm talking about Grace's group is because so many things have gone down, and because of a new part of the county opening up, it's beachside, and some people were over time. It's 2 to 3 years now. It's been opening up, new businesses and such like that, and I just heard a noise. Oh, there it is. Okay, but am I gonna get this out today? This is kind of like a blooper one. Lately, I'm telling you. But anyway, some people got it into their head. I've said this so many times, that they could make money, and they found out they could. They saw people doing this on videos on these 2 social media platforms. One was shutting it down, shutting that part of that ability for people to do it down, but the other one wasn't, the Outcast Online. And it's contract issues, okay, that they couldn't just shut that down. It's a whole story itself too. But these people would make videos, put them up, because they realized that audience loves the drama, and they'd go to these businesses or these like, it could be grocery stores, it could be any kind of business where they pick up stuff and go deliver it. Like any kind of shopping that was listed through. They have their own delivery services. In Victorson County, they pride themselves on not using anything that as possible, as least as possible. They don't want any chain stores, chain restaurants, like delivery services. No, they have their own, plenty of them. Different people run them, and they just like to have everything in homegrown, home raised, home built. You get it, their own, as much as possible. They can't, of course, have everything, but as much as possible. They pride themselves on that. Very, very wealthy county. So, people were getting on these 2 social media platforms for the county, and people who live there, you have to live there in order to be able to have an account, and they were just ruining some of these businesses because they found out that, like I was saying, their audience loves drama, and when they would badmouth the businesses, they earn more money from their viewers, to their audience. And whoa, and they were the ones that were from the bad part of town, basically, put it that way. And the place is actually called the Outlaws. Okay, kind of answers it. It goes back from, it's early in settlement of the county. So yeah, but anyway, they and these are people who just didn't care if they were ruining the business or not. They were making money. That's all that mattered to them. Well, no, you just put yourself in their shoes. Some people automatically would say, whoa, that's bad. Some people wouldn't. They would have to, think in terms of, I'm going to put myself in their shoes, empathy. Put myself in their shoes. How would I feel if I opened up a business and somebody was ruining it because they were giving bad reviews, when the bad reviews were lies, just so they could make money off of it? Yeah. A lot of people say, hey, I'm spending my money to open up something, and you're trying to take my money for yourself. And basically that's what it is. Ruin a business. They didn't care. They all got arrested, and a lot of what they got arrested for was traffic violations. These were not very smart people. They weren't very bright. They would go and do these deliveries, and they'd show themselves driving and committing traffic violations. There was developing a problem with traffic in Beachside also because of them. And they would do things like parking, the parking spots for disabled people. And they say, well, I'm only going to be there like a minute. No, that's a hefty fine. It can be a hefty fine in Texas. I don't know about other places, and big time community service. Okay, any kind of community service and a fine. I think this fine could be, I shouldn't say, You know, like I said, they have their alternative kind of thing going on there. But, and I'm not an expert on how the law works, and I'm not a voice of authority on any of it, so I would probably be wrong. Anyway, so they go and they do, you know, they get arrested. And so that's kind of stuff is going, but they also had other people, like people who were just customers, you know, that had they liked making videos, you know, vlogs and stuff. The customers would go do this stuff too, because they saw that they could make money off of their audience, their viewers. And there are just other different types of people. Some were copycats, and they saw, hey, you know, some of them did both. They were customers, or, you know, sometimes they did delivery, or sometimes they did, you know, worked for this or that, whatever it was. And so the people they needed a lot of people who were watching these videos, basically. Okay, and it was for more than just this. But this is just one example of why they needed people who were trained in investigations and detective work, investigations, this kind of thing, that weren't working for the force, what it was. They were not. But there were people who would take time and, you know, get paid for it, work for basically the elders, whatever is the issue, and watch what was going online, and they were certified or whatever it was to do so. Okay, like I said, a little bit of an alternative universe kind of thing going on with them. They did everything within the law. Okay, so there were people who have been around for a while in this Grace's group, and there are other ones, but Grace's group, you know, they've been around quite a bit, and they basically got hired by the main elders, the ones that were there before everything started splitting up back in 2020, and, you know, different fields, different genre. But they used her group, to train other people. And new groups, more and more groups, and they were ones who would watch the videos. I'm sorry, I'm a little distracted here, but and this is not going right anyway. So it was good that they had somebody some team that was over all of those. So they basically have been doing this for a long time, and for years, and now they're training other people to do it. So they're basically the ones that they would be their supervisors. Grace would be the boss. And so that was good, because they needed it. A lot of stuff is going down. A lot of stuff is about to break. Some cases they haven't had any. They just ran into a wall. There was nothing. All of a sudden, everything got quiet. This kind of thing. It's too many of them, and there was never enough information, never enough anything that they would need to move further for years on some of them. And now everything's starting to break. You hear that noise? Yeah. Okay. Today was a really windy day, and now that I'm out here, when I shoot out here, I make my videos is like a tree, and that tree is not going. That's a shrub, actually. It's a crepe myrtle, and well, now you see a little bit of movement, but the wind was whipping. Woof. Of course, not where they're having that blizzard right now. Oh my! I feel for them. It's like 85 up to 85 or so mile per hour winds, hurricane force kind of winds. Ours was, I think, up to 35. We've had worse than that, of course. We've had a hurricane force here in Texas, northeast of Dallas, in a suburb there, and we've had worse. But I like to, at least have some movement to that tree now. Well, now that it is. But we don't have any clouds. So anyway, and today is February 24th. It's 4:28 p.m. My SUV says it's 73 degrees, and Fahrenheit, of course. Yes, the year is 2026. But anyway, I don't know. Lately, I'm slowing down in when I'm thinking and trying to get these stories all together and everything. But this is the big one in this whole storyline. Is what's going on with all these cases that were open, and I've had spin-offs, and some of the other channels. On my other channels, some of had to break them up some because they have so. What in the world is going on back there? They have so many. I'm being distracted by whatever's going on outside behind my SUV. But they have these different things. Some of them were, some, like I said, it's not just food delivery people. It's not just customers. It's not just about businesses either. But Victorson County was so quiet and such a nice place, and good, decent people overall. The people of the outcasts that were out in the outlaws, and there's another place, Hippie Town. They really didn't bother people, but now all of a sudden, they get online and they become different people. Like the one, like I said, like virtual county. I mean, not virtual county. I keep saying that, Victorson County online. They, make videos and just were doing that. Well, what they did, and it was Grace's group, not Margaret's group, Grace's group. They were the first ones who, found a way to make it to where anybody that was doing that, getting online, bad-mouthing businesses, they would, because of the contract, they had to pay attention to their contracts, but they would basically not let them have any new viewers, any new subscribers. Viewers and subscribers aren't always the same. And they basically put a stop to it that way because people get tired. So, some people will hang around time and time and time again, watching the same kind of lather, rinse, repeat stuff. And it's kind of like all these digital panhandlers, the people who are e-beggars. They want money, and they'll tell all kinds of lies, even involve their children. So they don't have enough money to buy groceries, and when they have plenty, they're working, and stuff like that. And they just they're con artists in a way. In that way, they get money from their audience by begging and crying and saying how bad they can't pay their rent, they can't do this, that, the other. And but they found a way in virtual county. There, I did it again. Victorson County online. They found a way through the works with the contract to cut them off, to have no new viewers and no new subscribers. So only the people who are already, and they get tired of spending all their money, because some of them really enjoy the comments or the live stream chats, and they can badmouth new people. Oh, you don't, what do you mean, they praise the person who's giving them all the drama. They praise them. And if they don't have any new people coming in, they enjoy, causing drama themselves and telling off people they think that, it makes them superior when it doesn't. It makes them, well, anyway. You see what I'm saying? Or do you? Anyway, I am a little irritated here. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up.